My parents are very liberal people, and they're actually certified sex ed teachers. So growing up, I actually didn't get the sex talk. I got conversations on sex every day, which I actually think is better. I mean, really, do you really want to like have one conversation, the sex talk, or you can just talk about it, every day and have it be no big deal, Because people are just so repressed in terms of sex and the sex talk, It's just so forced, it's so tense. If you approach something every day, like it's no big deal, and it really isn't, then, I mean, you come out with something like me, and I'm wearing a sorcerer shirt. But I've always been attracted to both boys and girls. Um, but when it came time for me to be aware of what to choose, I was under the impression that that was normal, when people were starting to just discover, who they were. You see, while sex was discussed, we never discussed homosexuality or bisexuality or anything in between. We just talked about sex. So I was free to form my own understandings. I was not aware that I was bisexual. I was just me. And for a very long time, I mean, sex wasn't talked about by my friends, so I didn't talk about it, It's just wasn't any big deal. But then my brother came out around the 7th grade, and all of a sudden he had this label for himself. He was using this thing, being gay, to define himself. Only it's not like he puffed up his chest and shouted it out to the world. He sort of said it quietly, as though it were some kind of admittance, a confession almost. So I became aware that being gay was to be oppressed. Saying things like, "that's so gay," were little attacks on homosexualities. So, all of a sudden, there was a very sinister reality to a lot of the vocabulary that my friends had been using. So what I did was I denied my femininity and anything else that would be seen as queer, and became an ultra straight boy. It was so contrived an act that even girls said that I tried too hard. I mean, it was probably one of the biggest pains in the asses. I mean, I am I am a masculine kid when I want to be. I can be fucking masculine. I mean, fuck. But um at the same time, I'm definitely not 100%. So, like, oh my god. The most annoying thing was that every time someone said the word bra, I'd be like, ah. And it's just like, it was just so annoying. Looking back on it, I don't even want to know how stupid I looked. Um, so, this point in my life, I had all male friends. So that was also a big factor into it. And it was just, that was just the way it was. Um, and then in the 10th grade, around the 9th grade, I guess you might even call it adopted. I don't know. I was removed from my regular friends and put in an art class with these girls that I had, talked to when I wasn't hanging around my guys. And, for a while, I kept up the charade of being a very straight boy. And then one of them said that I really like bisexual boys. They're sexy. And I was like, I can honestly say that I had never heard the term up until then. I'm a naive person. If I don't if I've never heard the term, then I never look it up, you know? So I realized that, wow, maybe that's what I am. And so I thought about it for a long time, and then I told them, and I later found out that it was actually, to some degree, a ploy to find out if I was bisexual. But I became good friends with these girls, and I still am. And it's only 10:27 in the morning. Oh my god. Anyway, and so that was my experience with that. Ironically, I still have not openly come out about my bisexuality to my males. But at the same time, the information has been present for a while. It said it on my MySpace, it said it on my Facebook. I've made YouTube videos about being bisexual, and not a single one of them has actually approached me about it. And that's the interesting thing about being bisexual. You don't have to talk about it. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about bisexuals. I think that's perhaps one of the reasons why a lot of people construe us as being fake people, because of the fact that we have never been put in a situation where we're in the spotlight, where we talk about being, like, we can deny who we are and be comfortable with that, because it's not, because we're, you know, you could argue that we're half straight, so it doesn't really matter that much. I don't think that bisexuals get nearly as much attention as homosexuals, and for those reasons, it's not as shameful to be a bisexual, I think, psychologically, for a lot of people. But at the same time, it does suck to deny yourself who you are, you know. I think, and that's something that bisexuals and homosexuals can relate to. And I just don't understand why people don't get that. But, anyway. So, and I didn't tell my parents about it for a very long time, even though my brother had come out and they were fine with it. First thing to do was hug him, you know. And then, but despite the fact that I knew that they were going to be fine with it, I just didn't feel that it was, I don't know, I just didn't feel that it was necessary. I don't quite understand that why I felt that way, but it just wasn't important. And when I did come out, it was perhaps the most inappropriate coming out. I did it in order to allow someone to have a sleepover at my house. It was terrible. It was really bad. One of my best friends, Corey, we were having sleepovers a lot at that point, and she's a girl. And my parents were like, I don't want you fucking anybody. Not now. Not in our house. Which is funny because, you know, they're so liberal, you know. And so finally I was like, I need her to, because I'm bisexual and she understands. And so they were like, oh, maybe we should let her go over then. You know, it was really, really stupid. Oh well, you know, I've always been kind of dramatic, so. Do I regret it? But it's over. And, you know, what's interesting is that my parents don't talk about being bisexual with me that much either. My brother got a whole manual on how to fuck guys safely. and I've gotten no such manual. I've not. My mom.